is going on, all you Minties? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and today I hope to answer a question that I get on a weekly, sometimes daily basis, and that is how to read or how to collect the Dawn of X era for the X-Men. So, please stay tuned. And welcome back, all you Minties. Now, this is a question I get asked seriously, sometimes on a daily basis. Here we have the hardcover of House and Powers of X. This is where everything begins. So this is in the perfect reading order. We had Jonathan Hickman overseeing this, the layout of the book, and how it reads. So this is perfect already. There is a trade paperback edition of this coming out later this year, I believe in October or November. And before I go any further, this is really all you need to read before jumping into the Dawn of X era. There is no prior requirement reading. Yes, you can read 30, 40 plus years of X-Men, but honestly, this really sets the new status quo for X-Men. So that's all I will say about that. Now, the next big question, where do you go from there? Well, the easiest route, of course, is to get them every month or every week by getting the single issues. We have X-Men, we have Excalibur, we have New Mutants, and we have X-Force. We have upcoming series like, never mind, I'm so behind. We have Marauders, and now we have Wolverine. So you can get them in the single issue, which might be the easiest way to collect and read them. Now the big question is, when is Marvel going to do these in a big oversized hardcover collection? When are they going to give us an omnibus? And the answer to that is, I really don't know. Mainly because of the way that the series are written. Mapping them out would be a task, and I'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. And there is no sign that they're going to do that. So what we do have right now, besides the single, and I also forgot to mention digital issues, are the series of trade paperbacks. We have the Dawn of X trades, and we have each individual series collected in a trade paperback format. So what's the big difference? Well, let's talk about each one. So here we have X-Men, Dawn of X, Volume 1. This is the way that I've done an overview of this before. This particular volume retails for $24.99, while the rest of them retail for $17.99, the rest of the Dawn of X trades. And there's a reason for that, and I'll talk about that here in a second. So the way that this is mapped out, this contains X-Men number 1, Marauders 1, Excalibur 1, New Mutants 1, X-Force 1, and Fallen Angels number 1. And the way that they have it mapped out is by release date. So if X-Men came out the first week, the second week is when Marauders came out. That is how they decided to map these out. Each of the covers are collected right before the beginning of each of the series. And this is something I can't really talk about too much because I don't want to give spoilers away in case you haven't even read Hoxpox. And then back here is where all of the variant this is a lot of variant covers. We are talking this many pages of variant covers, and I for one love that, because that's one thing about single issues that I do miss out on is the variants. But the way they have them collected in here, they all have their own page. They're not little thumbnails of a issue. So I think it's great that they collected each one of them in here. However, by the time we get to volume 2 of Dawn of X, we don't have all the variants, we just have some of the variants, right? So it's not very many, but it's some of the variants. So what does Dawn of X Volume 2 collect? You probably guessed it. It is X-Men number 2, Marauders number 2, Excalibur number 2, New Mutants number 2, X-Force 2, and Fallen Angels number 2. So that's what this collects in here, and so on and so forth with Dawn of X 3, Dawn of X 4, 5, and 6. Each of the issues are collected in there in that format. So Dawn of X 5 collects issue 5 of Marauders, X-Men, Excalibur, New Mutants, X-Force, and Fallen Angels. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but that's only because there's a lot of confusion with these, and I want to make sure you all know exactly what you're going to get. So to me, this is a really great way of collecting this new era, this brand new world of X-Men in this format, because it feels like you're reading them every month. It feels like you're not waiting 6 months to collect all of Excalibur, all of X-Men. And it also lets you know which titles you're into. So we'll talk about that. So the reason Dawn of X number 1 is $24.99, and I'm sure you could probably tell when I was going through here, is because of every single one of the variants is collected back here. When you get to Dawn of X 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they're $17.99, and only collect a couple of the variants, including when they start doing these little thumbnail covers. I hate when they do that. I love full page, but obviously it would cost, each one of these would be $24.99. So as far as the trade waiter, or the person that likes to collect and read these, actually read books instead of just collecting, in collected editions format, what's the best way to do it? To me, I think this is one of the best ways, because you get every single issue. You're not missing out on anything, so it doesn't feel like, if you're a completist, it doesn't feel like you're missing out what's going on in Marauders. Now, let's talk about these individual releases. So here we have X-Men #1. This book retails for $17.99. So this is the title. So let's say you just want to read X-Men, you don't care about anything else going on in Dawn of X, or you're just a fan of Jonathan Hickman. This is the book to get. Now, what's interesting about this trade paperback and all the other trades, just focusing on the titles, is that the covers are not collected within the chapter breaks. So issue 2 just kind of starts. You get something like this where it says Pax Krakoa. That's the name of the issue. And that is the cover, but it's all in a red tint. You don't actually get the cover at the very beginning where you would, in Dawn of X, you saw the covers. That's not until the very back here. So I have to censor this page to talk about the covers. So here's where you get the covers. So there's issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those are the standard edition covers. And then the variants. Well, the variants don't get a full page. They get the little thumbnail pages, which I know some people are okay with. But man, to have that Mark Brooks in full-blown page, it would have been awesome. But there's all the variants. So that is X-Men Volume 1. So if you're just interested in collecting X-Men or just stories by Jonathan Hickman, the guy that wrote House and Powers of X, then this is the one for you. Both Marauders and Excalibur are done the exact same way. There is no cover before the beginning of the issue. All the covers are left back here in the back, including the variants. Here's Marauders, for example, and again, all the covers in the back. Both of these retail for $17.99. And again, collect Marauders 1 through 6 and Excalibur 1 through 6. Marauders written by Jerry Duggan, Excalibur written by Tini Howard. So that's pretty easy to follow. Seems like every one of these is $17.99 and collects issues 1 through 6. However, when we get to New Mutants, it collects issues 1 and 2 and 5 and 7, and then it's $15.99. So it's only 4 issues. So I'm sure you're probably wondering why. And that is because this is just the Jonathan Hickman collection. The other issues, New Mutants 2, 4, and 6, and I believe 8, will be collected later on, and that is the Ed Brisson series. I don't know if you've been keeping up, and this is what I mean. Jonathan Hickman did some of the stories, so it features characters from not only New Mutants, but also Gen X, and then Ed Brisson did the other part of the stories. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing. You are going to get the full thing if you get Volume 2, the Ed Brisson collection of New Mutants. Those stories, they're not leaving anything out. It's just they wanted you to enjoy just the Jonathan Hickman stories. Because, let's talk about reading order for those trade waiters. If you want to experience everything, like the way you experience the Hoxpox collected edition, and we don't have that yet. We have just the trades. If you want to experience that feeling of not being spoiled by, let's say, Excalibur issue 4, not spoiling Fallen Angels issue 4, that's going to be a little harder to do because the reading order for this is a little bit different because, yeah, you can read X-Men #1 and then move on to Marauders, so the Dawn of X works wonderful for you. However, when you get to Excalibur, you can read all of Excalibur 1 through 6 after reading X-Men 1 and Marauders 1. Like, you can read this entire trade paperback if you want to just continue the story. Because all of this takes place before New Mutants. And this is where it gets a little confusing when you're collecting New Mutants because issues 1 of New Mutants, 2, 4, and 6 can be read in one sitting before you even read Fallen Angels 1 through 4. So that's what I mean. If you want that kind of experience, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to kind of Frankenstein your own reading order. until, you know, Marvel decides to release, if they even go that route, to release a Dawn of X omnibus or oversized hardcovers. So my strongest suggestion for all those that have been asking, or those that have been curious and how to read this, is honestly do it this way. Do it the Dawn of X way. Because if you're gonna Frankenstein issues, then you might as well go the single issues route or the digital issue route. To me, this way, and they're continuing this, by the way, they're continuing this Dawn of X trades. We're going to get volume 7 and 8. I think they have different names though, and they're going to include Wolverine, they're going to include giant-sized X-Men, and all those in the way that they were originally released. And I think that's a really cool way to do it. That is until, like I said, we get a for sure omnibus or oversized hardcover. So, this volume 1, by the way, is another suggestion I'm going to make, is find out the issues that you like. You may not like Fallen Angels. You may not like Excalibur. You may just like X-Men, and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to keep up with the X-Men and see what they do. Or you may just like X-Men and Marauders. Or you may not even like X-Men or Marauders, and you just want to read what the characters in Excalibur are doing, or you just want to follow Chamber. God, no, there's dozens of Chamber fans out there like myself. But yeah, that's another good thing about this book, is it kind of lets you dip your toes into books that you like, or somebody's writing style, or like I said, some people like to follow characters. Me, obviously, I'm a completist and have to read it all, and that's what I've been doing this last week, is catching up on Dawn of X. I'm ready for the next trade paperback, because I stopped at like issue 3 of all the series, because I'm like, I'll just wait for collected editions, and look what happened. So that is my strong suggestion, is start with this Dawn of X volume 1. See if you enjoy it in this format, then get volume 2, 3, 4, and 5. They're continuing them. This is unprecedented for Marvel or any company. Please correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong, for them to be doing something like this every month, like an anthology series. Yes, we see it in Shonen Jump. We see it in a lot of the manga from Japan. But for an American company to be doing that is just unheard of. And then on top of that, you also have this option. By the way, one thing I didn't mention, and I'm sure you're looking at them right now, look how awesome those spines look together. I love that each one of these has a different color. I love it. And they did the same thing with Dawn of X in a way. See? All the different colors. And of course, each one of them, they go from gray to white to black. I love that. I know some of y'all like looking at spines, so here you go. And of course, for you completists out there, here you go. And then don't forget, we're also getting X-Force, and we are getting Fallen Angels collections. And ultimately, this is all up to you, the reader, and regardless of how you want to collect them or read them, you are in for a treat. As somebody that has been reading X-Men for 35 years, this is such a great era, a brand new era of X-Men, and it is so fun and exciting to read them every month or week, however you decide to read them. And you can purchase these books from our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off the cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. And check out their bargain bin for even greater deals up to 90% off cover price. And for you minties, Cheap Graphic Novels is running a special promotion. If you're a first-time customer, let them know you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was it. That was how to collect, or at least my suggestion on how to read these wonderful new era of the X-Men. If you still have questions, please leave those down below in the comments section. You know I love replying to everybody, although that's been getting a little harder and harder to do with the more videos I put out, but I promise I will get to them eventually. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We can be found on Redbubble and on Patreon. Those are great ways to support the channel. We have different tiers on our Patreon. You can check all of that out in the description down below. We have links. And more importantly, please everybody stay healthy, stay safe, and much love to all of you.